The Dellasaurus is dead. But we must press on, we can press on, and we will press on. Check out the geek links in the descriptions on YouTube for links to what's going on the other MultimediaJay pages like Dailymotion, Twitch, and the blog. Check out Twitter at MultimediaJay for a combined feed and other assorted odds and ends on that site. 2017 approaches. But for now, it's time for another podcast.
MultimediaJay Radio Style.
Some modding, of course. Might have to mod the plastic part of the case too in order to get a power supply with an on-off switch to fit in here. The good news is though that an ATX supply could probably work under the right circumstances. With this computer's deconstruction, the threads of prophecy are severed. Reload a saved game to reconnect the threads of prophecy or persist in the doomed world that you have created. Morrowind fans will get that inside joke.
It's dead. I'm serious. Time for you to move on. This is not a joke. But what was a joke was Windows 8 versus the Dellasaurus nearly 5 years ago. It's time for the nonsense to end. Permanently. Welcome, everybody, to MultimediaJay Radio Style for Sunday, December 18th, 2016. And yes, folks, this is no April Fool's joke, and I'm appalled that this went as far as I thought it would, but the Dellasaurus is dead. The story of the Dellasaurus is over. The most that we can do with that case is rig the thing up to have some newer hardware in there as a joke system, of which that computer is the less interesting of the two old computers to work with because of the proprietary nature of what once held a motherboard in that thing. The internals are not able to be used elsewhere. They're too slow, they're too old, and I deliberately was careless when I took the thing apart because I wanted this to end once and for all. I broke a RAM socket and numerous traces on the motherboard got slashed by a screwdriver, pliers, tools, the whole 9 yards. While I was taking the thing apart, the Dellasaurus is dead. It's over. Move on. Or actually give a darn about the other stuff that I do on this channel. You see, the new YouTube landscape and the dismantling of the Dellasaurus are very, very linked together, so I figured let's have ourselves a little discussion about what specifically has gone on, particularly when I blasted folks in the comments on my own video earlier this week. I'm actually quite surprised that my channel has been bleeding more red ink now that I've said, hey, it's over. The Dellasaurus thing is done. The story is finished. And yet, if I look at things, but the views tell the whole story about how much of my audience consisted of trolls. I've even gotten some people actually trying to get aggressive with me saying, well, did you ever consider that maybe computer videos are all some people are interested in? Why, yes, there, Sherlock. I did consider that. The problem is other computer videos don't matter. Computer videos can get crap views as well. This was a specific problem with this specific system. Are we clear on that? And I know it's malicious because people have told me through various channels like private message, comments, Twitter, there have been people that have admitted to me that they were maliciously ignoring every single thing I upload that wasn't the Dellasaurus. We're not talking about a matter of taste here. We're talking about people getting a hold of their friends and saying, let's make this guy mad by making him look like he can only do one type of content ever. Now here's the problem with that. Suppose I caved and this channel became absolutely nothing but Dellasaurus videos. It would go in the other direction. They'd be giving me a hard time about how I was riding the Dellasaurus gravy train, that I was running it straight into the ground, that I never ever did anything else because I am driven by views. And all I do is kiss people's asses, and all I ever do is whatever I think will do the best. Well, you know what? That would be wrong too, because guess what has done the best this year? Nothing tech-related. A video about a washing machine. The videos about appliances. The Magic Chef washer and dryer have had plenty of views and none of the toxicity, or almost none, far less toxicity than I get from tech videos that only do half as well. So if I was playing a numbers game, the tech would end right here. because my best audience is actually more home type stuff, like home goodsy type stuff and house type stuff and things along those lines. I have a far better audience with the videos about the appliances, despite my heavy metal intro in WWMJ last year. And all things considered, if I wanted to play the numbers game, I would stop all the tech stuff, because those videos they don't give me the best results. I may get decent views depending on what's in the tech videos, but I have gotten the most toxicity by and large from people who just want to jump on. If I ever screw up even the tiniest little thing, it's an endless barrage of dislikes and comments, even if I correct myself in a follow-up or something like that, because the follow-up gets crap views, the original gets all kinds of activity, because why let the facts get in the way of a good shouting match? Oh, you were wrong in this video 3 years ago. Yeah, it's just it's horrible. So no, I'm not playing a numbers game. What I want to do with this channel is what I want to do. And I don't want to feel like I'm wasting my time. YouTube built itself up on individuals being able to gain an audience on here, and they are failing miserably at that these days through various, the stuff they try to keep under wraps, but people figure out very quickly through the subtle hints, like where things are placed in the analytics menu and things along those lines. Speaking of analytics, let's take a look at a few, shall we? Click over to a few things here, and what do we have here? Despite the trolling, despite the harassment, despite the comments, when are you ever gonna do another Dellasaurus video? Despite all of this crap, decommissioning the Dellasaurus is getting upstaged by the video about the Magic Chef washer from last year, still, and the video about the Magic Chef dryer from last year, still. There's your answer on, well, you're not doing well because you're not doing Dellasaurus videos. No, I'm not doing well because people want to troll me and say, oh, tech videos are all I should ever do, but then they don't actually support said videos. Seriously, I should throw in the towel on technology and just do appliances or around the house or something like that, because that's what the numbers are suggesting. It's not even close. Even the play some stuff of my fitness coach that sat on top for years is off the bottom of it. It's not even close at this point. And then the next one after that is Let's Cheese the Great Sift. And then Windows 8 versus the Dellasaurus has dropped down to 5th place on the watch time list in terms of which videos are getting this channel the most publicity on YouTube. So there it is. Appliances. And over-the-shoulder stuff about less technical stuff. If I want to have views, and more views, apparently that's the way to proceed. And the thing is, there's a massive audience on here of folks doing exactly those channels. I've run into, I'm subscribed to a few of them because I liked their cheerful personalities, but there's some cost-savvy moms on here, and there's some other folks that go, oh, look what I got at Goodwill, and this is my haul from Dollar Tree, and things along those lines. But, that's kind of like, here's what I did, here's what I bought when I went shopping today. But the over-the-shoulder stuff apparently is something that I should look into with stuff that's not so technical, like appliances or things around the house or something like that. Maybe it could be an excuse for me to finally learn how to cook. So the thing is though, the responses I get, you'd think that, oh, well, you're getting negative responses because more people are watching your stuff and you have more of a chance of getting negative feedback when more people. Nope, not in the case of the appliances. The top two right now, the appliance videos, actually, no, I haven't gotten that kind of negativity. I haven't gotten that kind of negativity at all, not even close to what I get with technology stuff. So, yeah, the Dellasaurus story is over. I could put a joke system in there, but it's the less interesting computer. That fossil HP is a lot more interesting if I just run some duct tape along those built-in mounts that aren't brass and things like that, so they don't short anything. But that looks a heck of a lot more interesting than anything Dellasaurus related. Speaking of which, since we have mentioned homemaking and around-the-house type channels, shout-outs to Laurie, the Passionate Penny Pincher, the latest such channel of that type that I have subscribed to. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Dellasaurus and the YouTube landscape, the decommissioning of the Dellasaurus, as it were, and the new YouTube landscape were very linked together. So I think it is prudent that we talk about what everybody's been bellyaching about on YouTube over the last couple of weeks. People are complaining about crap views, and it's not just me. There's some big channels and whatnot, and there's been some interesting changes, but the most plausible thing that I've heard is from the folks over at the Game Theory. That, the guy who does the narration for the Game Theory, who had a video that talked about how we should take a hint from how things are ordered in the analytics, that watch time in minutes is listed first, so that should be our cues or something like that. Subscribers and engagement. Is views even anywhere on here anymore? But no, it's, so I think it's worth really going over the details of just how YouTube has evolved over the past 10 plus years since it started. I've been messing around for just over 10 of them, just fooling around on here, just trying to have some fun, but sometimes it has been more fun than others. So initially there were things related to views and things like that. It was view-centric, but the problem is the minute people appear to have figured out the system is when they start trying to play it. And the interesting part is, depending on how many big channels are responsible for playing the system, it's either a good thing or it's a bad thing to them. You'll notice that as we go through the history of what's going on, that the big channels seem to have very different opinions based on whether or not they're actually doing these things that count as playing the system. So let's talk about the YouTube that was powered by views. When views were what mattered, you have to ask yourself, what counts as a view? Facebook recently went through a little something earlier where, something automatically playing as someone scrolled past it in the feed would count as a view. Basically some insignificant amount of watch time counted as a view, and that added up and it inflated things, and advertisers were none too happy that that sort of view thing, like it's a score in an arcade game, was happening on Facebook like it once happened over on YouTube. YouTube, of course, had problems with, I don't like using the term clickbait because I think it's overly abused these days, but videos that are designed to get people to click on them and have them at least start playing, that was a bit of a problem. There were deceptive thumbnails, although interestingly enough, you're kind of encouraged to make a deceptive thumbnail to get more views these days. Oh yeah, put this bright pink background, a couple of faces, and a big thing of the title in block letters, even though it doesn't appear anywhere in the video, which used to be the definition of a dishonest thumbnail when the thumbnail depicted something that wasn't actually part of the video. Looks like YouTube's kind of backed off on some of that a bit with some of their official how-tos on making thumbnails these days. But deceptive thumbnails, screamers, videos that consisted of the thumbnail was like some supermodel's bikini shot, and then suddenly it was something completely different, when you went to actually watch the video. Stuff that made people mad and stuff that made people, Rick rolls and things along those lines. Stuff that got people to at least get the video playing used to be what ruled the roost. So YouTube, of course, wanted to fix that because that's not the kind of enjoying video type thing that they were looking for. At the very same time, there were people also playing the system with tags, ripping tags or using dishonest tags or unrelated tags. In particular, I remember there were a couple of videos the irate gamer made that had Howard Stern or some kind of reference to Howard Stern in the tags. And so there were things like that going on. That's the key example, but I'm also thinking the reply girls. YouTube pretty much broke the related videos feature in order to shut down the reply girls, because they would all make video responses that were totally brain dead. And well, go poke around YouTube's history and you'll see that sort of thing. But the thing is, notice what's happened here. People played the system and it ruined it for everybody. I mean, I could watch someone's video where they're telling somebody to do something that's poisonous to them, and I can't make a response saying, don't do that, that's poisonous, because it's not going to be shown in the related things on theirs. They are protected because the system was deliberately broken in order to shut down the reply girls. So context no longer matters. Now it's more a matter of watch time, watch minutes, but we'll get to that shortly. So, okay, views didn't work. There's ways to play the system. So a couple of years ago, the views went down on purpose because YouTube started focusing on whether or not people were clicking away from a video, which was the most rudimentary form of watch time. So the way to do damage to someone's channel was to start playing the video and then immediately click away, more so than trolling or something like that. Basically, the more people didn't click away from your video, aka the larger amount of it that they watched, the better you would do. Somebody who is constantly keeping people watching the entire video would tend to do better across the board than people who than people who, people only watch like 25% of what they uploaded. So, guess what happened? The big channels and the MCNs and the SOP followers and the bobbleheads out there, bobbleheads, etc., they found out that the system worked that way, and guess what happened? The SOP for YouTube changed to kiss up to that system. So the average person watches maybe 5 minutes of a YouTube video. Okay, let's make every single video a 5-minute blurb that has a call to action at the end. And that's where the YouTube IKEA part of it came from that I've mentioned at various times previously. There was one major problem with that system, and it relates to how people like to troll people on the internet. And the major problem is that once that became the standard, veering from it got you some kind of negative response. I know I've gotten some negative comments and negative private messages and negative things over the years from other sources saying that people don't want to watch 25-minute videos. Why are you making 25-minute videos? Oh, excuse me, I'm tinkering around trying to install a motherboard in a new system. I'm not going to condense that down to 5 minutes just because that's the SOP. See, that kind of antagonism created a hostile YouTube environment for folks like myself who were not doing the manufactured to specification 5-minute blurbs. Yeah, it wasn't a good thing. But now the system has been changed again, and this is where the game theory guy hit it right out of the park. And unfortunately, the side effect of this is that all those channels that have been playing the system with those 5-minute blurbs are now complaining about doing longer videos because of this. And, it finally just pulled the rug out from under all those channels that made it taboo to have long videos on here anymore. So now apparently what it's about is watch minutes rather than watch time. And by that I mean, if you can keep people glued to a video that's 5 minutes long, but somebody else can keep people glued all the way to the end to a video that's 15 minutes long, the person with the 15-minute videos gets promoted over the person with the 5-minute videos. This is a system that gets around the folks playing the system. Oh, people only watch like 5 minutes grand total. Let's make all 5-minute videos so that we always get a ton of watch engagement. People aren't clicking away from the videos, if ever, maybe rarely, and then we'll shoot to the top. So now you can finally get rewarded if you can hold people's interests for longer than 5 minutes. There's one major problem with that, though. Watch minutes in and of themselves are a currency in and of themselves. And the game theory guy was actually showing at one point the search engine on YouTube was so broken that you basically got Minecraft videos when you searched for things like popular movies. If there was anything with like a pop culture reference or something that had a Minecraft element of sorts, if someone made it for Minecraft, if you searched for it on YouTube, you would get Minecraft videos at the top of all the results. I tried it with Game of Thrones right around the time that the game theory video came out. So yeah, let's look for Game of Thrones. Nothing about the movies or anything like that, or TV or anything of that sort. It was all Minecraft videos about some Game of Thrones Minecraft add-on. Why? Because people are being glued to those for the longest minutes. They had the most watch minutes. So maybe some of that's been changed since then to actually reflect the content a little, but the situation is very much that now it's a matter of minutes. But here's the thing. The reason why watch minutes is a system that will draw my ire until things get fixed a little more on this website is because watch minutes have brought back views as something that mattered. If you have an audience of people who on average watch about, say, a quarter of your video, and then the length determines the watch minutes and things like that, but let's suppose you're always uploading 15-minute videos, and people watch about 5 minutes of those 15-minute videos. So people watch, every time someone watches your video, you gain 5 watch minutes. So the more people, if people in general watch that amount of time, the more views you get, the more chunks of 5 watch minutes you get, and maybe you'll do better with another video and keep people watching for longer on average. But now that it's not about the percent that people got through instead of clicking away, and it's about just plain old-fashioned watch minutes, you want more views. Because if people are watching your video for like 5 minutes, it's 5 watch minutes per view. The more views, the more watch minutes. So everything's back to scaling again, apparently, if this is the way it is. And YouTube's not going to come right out and say it, because as we've seen over the years, the minute people think they've figured out YouTube's system, they immediately start trying to play it. The big channels, the MCNs, the SOP followers are out there, all going to start doing the exact same thing to try and maximize their chances of gaming the system to their advantage. But here's the problem. Views matter again, if this is the way things are going to go. But how do you get the views? How do you build up an audience? I was just reading last night some how-to tips and tricks for, getting more activity on your channel, and the YouTube officially suggested bringing an audience from somewhere else. Post on websites, go around bugging people to check out your YouTube channel. So is that an admission, or the inverse of one, that they're not going to help people's channels grow anymore? That's the thing. You got people like Mark from Classic Game Room that are talking about how YouTube is just a means to an end. It should be used exclusively as a hosting platform, and the publicity should all be done somewhere else. That's the sad truth here. And that's what's going to kill the site if this isn't fixed. Because what attracted people to this site specifically, as opposed to its competition, some of which has come and gone over the years, what attracted people to this site is the individual element of it, that an individual could come on here and build up an audience. If that can't happen anymore, YouTube is little more than a shell of its former self, and it's more in line with what some of its competition was trying to do over the years. There have been attempts to have YouTube without the user-generated content element of it. They failed. They failed. They're either doing something else nowadays, or they've gone out of business. So whether the folks in charge of the site want to admit it or not, the old school "it's all about you" still matters. And it's still some concentrated coolness that this site risks losing to other video sites if they drop the ball on this and you can't actually build up an audience. I like the new watch minutes system. I really do. I think it addresses a problem that turned YouTube into a mess for years on end. But as part of the demographic question that everybody has to answer, we got to ask about YouTube. Why are people coming to the site? What is bringing people to the site? What are the traffic sources, if you will? If the allure of you could build up a channel or find people that have built up channels and have interesting things to watch, if that goes away, this website's not going to run off of embeds or anything like that. Matter of fact, there are situations nowadays where one of YouTube's competitors has more reliable embeds than YouTube does, like with the copyright minefield and things like that. I did see a few news articles during that whole fiasco where Samsung went nuts about a YouTube video that showed a mod in Grand Theft Auto where the Molotov cocktail was replaced with a Samsung phone that went up in flames. The uproar over that, while that was being covered by various news folks that were embedding YouTube videos of the mod, there were takedowns being issued. So it broke the embeds on the articles. But some people had a Daily Motion version of that, and those stayed up. So it's YouTube cannot trust that embeds and their brand power give them a reason to coast. They have not earned a license to coast. They have to keep being the best if they want to stay the best. And an environment where people like myself and even some bigger channels feel like the deck is stacked against us is not going to be conducive to their continued success. Watch minutes is an idea worth pursuing, but people need to be able to build up audiences, build up channels, build up views, which matter again, by the way, and they also need to be able to gain a new audience because people's interests change over time. People move on, so to speak. So when your audience has about had enough of what you're doing, can you get another one and keep entertaining people? Or is it one shot and you're done? These are the tough questions that the folks in charge of these algorithms need to answer, and they need to knock it off with the algorithms being such a source of widespread grief on here, because you know what? As part of the trolling about the Dellasaurus thing, there's the tie back. Once again, these two topics are very, very linked together. Among the trolling that I've received related to decommissioning the Dellasaurus, now the YouTube algorithms are becoming an excuse. They're becoming an excuse for crap views. Oh, you know, the YouTube algorithms aren't promoting your latest videos. Oh, isn't that cool? Isn't it cool that everything's going to get crap views until 6 months after it's relevant? See, that encourages me to make videos that are not time sensitive. And there are some channels out there like Serial Time that do exactly that. You can watch their entire back catalog spanning years and years and binge watch and things like that. But since we mentioned binge watching, that right there is actually the source of all of this. Because what's happened is YouTube has watched Netflix become what it is. Then basically, where do you hear about binge watching? People are talking about watching series of shows on Netflix in big, long watching sessions. And time and again, binge watching is something I hear about in the context of Netflix. I'm going to binge watch this show. I'm going to binge watch that show. Binge watching Netflix. Binge watching Netflix. That has stolen the thunder of the online video scene away from YouTube. And obviously, some of these changes are designed to make YouTube similar to Netflix. So one of the things that I will be doing, although I don't anticipate it will have much of an effect, as I assume that these days with how me doing this or that to try and get more views or try and get more something or another seems to not work anymore. One of the things that I will be doing is making the channel more binge watch friendly. For the upcoming Beyond 10 Years Wacky World of MultimediaJay, and I think I'm going to have something like this in general for, well, I do have something like this going on, but I do have playlists for going backwards from the most recent video. But I think what I want to do is have binge watching stuff like that for the series and even entire years worth of videos. So if somebody wants to watch all of my stuff from 2013 in order based on publish date, they can do that. Or if somebody wants to watch something, and likewise with WWMJ, I think I will have an ongoing playlist for Beyond 10 Years. While, the way it's worked before is 2013, 2014, 2015, I've made a playlist after finishing what I considered a season. That's going to be more of an ongoing thing. I want to make this channel a bit more binge watch friendly because that's the direction that YouTube wants to go in. They want to make this place like an independent version of Netflix. And I recommend others do that too. Make it similar. I mean, I did a YouTuber spotlight on Serial Time very recently, and I found myself asking myself at the end of watching about 9 or 10 of their videos about various types of cereals, even though it is kind of a YouTube IKEA, everything's the same, it's just the topic that changes type video thing, although it doesn't really bug people to subscribe all over the place, the way some of the more cookie cutter channels do nowadays. I've had nights where I've watched a lot of Serial Time episodes and I've been like, have I really just spent the last 45 minutes watching YouTube videos about cereal? But after like a day or two of trying to play catch up with that channel's back catalog, the recommended videos on my front page, let me check it now, see if it's changed. But the recommended videos on my front, no, that's been fixed. But there was a time... There was a time when I was watching a lot of Serial Time that all the videos in the recommendeds were more Serial Time episodes. YouTube's algorithms thought that was the only channel I wanted to watch. That's the world we live in, folks. So yes, as part of quit dwelling on the problem and look for the answer, I will be but I will be making some renovations to the channel to make it more binge watch friendly. And with ongoing stuff as well as. So keep an eye on, first off, don't trust the subscriber system. Go to my channel's page and hit Control-D to bookmark it. Let's go all 90s on YouTube's arse, as it were. Because I have actually caught some channels I hadn't watched in a while that YouTube's algorithms buried. I'm like, wait, I haven't seen their stuff in a while. Let's see if they have anything new. So I have gotten around the shortcomings of the subscription system already with that sort of thing. But yeah, bookmark the channel and check out the playlists because they're going to get a bit more robust. And for Beyond 10 Years WWMJ, that is going to get more robust as well. Just got to figure out the other former side series is how to split them off, maybe by year or something like that, because I don't really do seasons for things like the Quick O-Flakes and Chillin' at Jay's Geek House. But if YouTube wants to try and be like an indie version of Netflix, where YouTubers design channels with binge watching in mind, if you want to go all Netflixy and stuff like that, maybe I should try that and see what it does. But in any event, there's a whole new world on YouTube, and the Dellasaurus is dead, to be used only as a joke system from here on out. A lot has changed in the 10 years I've been goofing around with this sort of thing. Now let's see how all this works out after all of this. This is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for listening, and thanks for stopping by. And I need to stop hitting the desk when I'm recording something, darn it! Or get a shock mount. I really need to stop cheesing things with 2 little journals and a mouse pad for muffling the sound around me with this. This is MultimediaJay Radio Style. Don't touch that dial.